What up, everybody? It's D over here at Geekdom, and I'm joined by a very special guest to talk a very special topic on this video. Joining me, Mike from LaughingStockMedia, which is on YouTube, LaughingStockMedia 1. I'm going to put the link down below and in the annotations. How are you, sir?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you all doing tonight?
I'm good. It's only me, though. But I want
I was talking to the crowd.
All right. The Geek Army.
Yes.
So why should the Geek Army check out your channel?
Well, I mean, on my channel, I talk about WWE. I talk about DBZ. You know, I'm talking about movies. I'm going to start doing movie reviews. You know, concert reviews. I have a lot of interesting opinions and topics that I love to talk about, and I love to involve the fans in it. So if you're really interested in any of this stuff, I'm always making new material. I'm always ready to bring more in. So check out my channel. I doubt you'll regret it.
So today, what we're talking about today was you brought up, you sent me a list of topics. I suggested that we do a video together because when you're talking Dragon Ball, sometimes there's only so many times you can hear your own voice. It's always better to have somebody else to kind of bounce ideas off of. And and you're a very creative guy. You sent me a bunch of ideas, and one of them that immediately hit me about a topic, a what if topic that hasn't really been explored on YouTube. And trust me, there's been a lot of what ifs that have been explored, right? So you sent me a whole bunch of them, and a lot of them we'll get to them as we go through. But one of them that struck me was, what if the Z Fighters knew the Kaio Ken? But the reason why that struck me is because the Z Fighters may actually know the Kaio Ken, but we never actually saw it. So, I mean, it's an interesting kind of outlook, I guess you could say.
Yes, definitely. I mean, I know that the Daizenshuu likes to say that when they were training with King Kai, even though we didn't see any of their training really for the most part in the manga, it says that they did learn the Kaio-Ken, and they might have learned the Genki Dama, or the Spirit Bomb, as many people may know it as.
Whichever.
But yes, I mean, but the problem is that we never see them use it as far as we know. And I know that Toriyama did that whole thing when Goku was fighting Frieza, where half of the time he was using the Kaio-Ken, it was invisible.
I was going to bring that up, by the way.
But at the same time, you got to think, like, why aren't these guys doing so much better, especially Piccolo? And I'll get into that a little bit later, because I think that might be the perfect candidate right there. But why aren't they doing so much better than they are, being as strong as they are with the Kaio-Ken? I mean, they get reduced to cannon fodder, and it doesn't make any sense.
Well, what I never understood, and maybe you have clarification on this, and maybe I missed something, is I remember Kaio told Goku, "I never mastered the Kaio-Ken, but I'm going to teach it to you."
Yes.
What the fuck? If you haven't mastered it, how can you show me how to do it? But I guess that he did. I don't know.
I guess it's kind of like a personal trainer who goes to Krispy Kreme too often, but he's telling you, oh, you gotta do 5 hours of cardio, and you gotta do this every single day. Like King Kai is just like, I kind of have it down in theory. It might blow you up and kill you the second you use it, but let's try it.
And his ego is so big that he renamed it after himself. So,
I know.
Right now, the move, just some quick, verbiage here. The move literally translates to Kaio Fist, or Fist of Kaio, because whenever you have a technique like Ken at the end of it, like Hado-Ken for Street Fighter, Ken means fist, but in Japan, when you say fist, it's kind of a metaphor for technique. So it's like the Kaio Fist, but it's the Kaio technique. So, okay, Goku dies, goes on Snake Way, goes to Kaio's, he learns the Kaio-Ken, learns the Genki Dama, like you said. We all kind of assumed that once the 4 dead Z Fighters, Piccolo, Chaozu, Tenshin Han, and Yamcha went there, they learned the same thing. But as you said, as you pointed out, we never actually see the Kaio-Ken. We never see any of those 4 guys use the Kaio-Ken. Now, or maybe they did, like you said, and maybe we just it wasn't. How do you even, like, the key wasn't visible?
Yeah, I mean, then again, like there's an interview with Akira Toriyama at one point where he does talk about how basically Ki would normally be invisible in real life, but he only makes it visible for the sake of cinematics. But at the same time, I kind of just feel like it's Akira Toriyama, so he probably forgot about it. The second he's like, oh, well, Goku knew Kaio-Ken. Now he doesn't know Kaio-Ken anymore because he's a Super Saiyan, which is better than Kaio-Ken. And then he's like, oh, wait, these other guys train with Kaio? Screw it. I don't care.
And you know what? Something that a lot of fans might not know is after Goku transformed on Namek, we never saw Kaio-Ken again in the canon storyline. However, Toei still used Kaio-Ken. They used it in movie 5. They used it a little bit in movie 6, a little bit in movie 7.
Yes.
Right? So Goku still used the technique. And then, of course...
Also, they used it when he fought Pikkon in the Afterworld tournament.
Yes, he did. And that was the super... What did he call it? It was like the...
He called it Super Kaio-Ken.
Super Kaio-Ken, yeah, which I thought was kind of cool. I'm not going to lie.
Yes.
It didn't make any sense.
But I feel the whole reason why they don't use the Kaio-Ken anymore after Super Saiyan is because of what the nature of Kaio-Ken is. And basically, it's that Kaio-Ken multiplies the base power by a certain number. So with Super Saiyan, it multiplies it by 50. So why exactly would you want to multiply your power by a lesser number? And the higher the number gets, the more likely it is for your body to explode and kill you.
Well, I guess Toei's mentality behind that was when they did the other world tournament was let's do the times 50 multiplier plus times Kaio-Ken, which to me, you're right, it doesn't really make much sense. Plus, not to mention that by the time that Goku fought Paikuhan, he was already SSJ grade 4, full power SSJ, so he was already kind of a step way beyond he was on Namek. But that doesn't answer our question, though, okay? What if the Z Fighters knew the Kaio-Ken? And here's the thing, bro, that makes our argument kind of difficult is that, like you said, the Daizenshus talked about it and the video games talked about it,
yes.
But we don't see it in the show, or in the manga. So if it didn't happen in the show or in the manga, it's
not canon. It's basically fan service, or it's somebody trying to fill in a plot hole that's or it's just like, let's put something in that's cool and explain, but. I mean, there's no way in my estimation that they know Kaio-Ken. Like, they would be doing so much better against the androids or other threats if they did. Like, especially Tien. The second that he uses the Tri-Beam with Kaio-Ken on top of that, he'll blow anything away. I don't care how strong it is because of how powerful the Tri-Beam is.
Well, yeah, I mean that's another one of the topics that he has sent over to me about that. What if he used it on the on 17, 18, or even 16? Who knows? But that to be honest with you, my opinion, that scene where he used it on second form Cell. When he held him down like 15 times, that always never made sense to me. Ever.
Oh, it doesn't. That's the whole thing. Obviously, when you think about it, when you rewatch it, that's just Toriyama trying to back himself out of a big corner that he put himself in. So he's just like, okay, Tien's there, screw it, let's have him use the Kaio-Ken. But obviously,
the Kiko.
Oh yes, but obviously in retrospect.
Well, one thing before you even keep going with that. A lot of people might not know is that in Dragon Ball, and this is a big retcon right here, Dragon Ball, when he first used that technique, they really put that technique over. They said that if he uses that technique, he's going to lose. It's like Eddie Murphy said in Trading Places, the quarter blood technique. He's going to lose his life. Like, basically, whenever you use the Kikoo or the Tri-Beam in Dragon Ball, you lose your life. In other words, your lifespan shortens, which is why when he used it on Nappa, he died. They totally retconned that. It's like they ignored it completely.
Well, I think the thing is that Tien basically, even in Dragon Ball, mastered it to the point where he only, instead of killing himself immediately like the other monks who actually invented the move, he takes away some of his life. And that does kind of make sense when you actually watch the King Piccolo arc, because when Tien uses the when Tien uses the evil containment wave, he doesn't die, unlike Master Roshi and Master Mutaito.
That's right. And well, yeah, so what you're saying is that what you're basically trying to say is he trained his body up to handle it better, and but do you really think that logically he could handle it so much that he could hit Cell with like 25 of them or whatever?
No, but at the same time, what a lot of people do say is that after his loss against the androids, he basically used his training with King Kai, and instead of using the Kaio-Ken, invented something called the Neo Tri-Beam, and I've never heard that before. It's a vastly more powerful version of the Tri-Beam.
Is that fan-made? Because I've never heard of that before.
I've seen it on like Kanzenshu. I've seen it on other stuff. I don't know if they specifically ever talk about it in any of the magazines or comics, but they call it, like, they try and separate or differentiate them by calling it the tri-beam, the first one, and the neo tri-beam. And the neo tri-beam is supposed to have an even higher multiplier of your base ki or life force or whatever it is. But like overall, I do think it was Toriyama just trying to back himself out of a corner. But maybe that was some way that Tien did use the Kaio Ken to form a completely different technique.
Yeah, I mean, I could buy that. I could totally buy that. But that still doesn't explain the big question, and that's, why did Goku get preferential treatment? How come this guy learned the Kaio-Ken, learned the Genki-Dama / Spirit Bomb, and none of the other four did? Because like you said, and you were going to talk about Piccolo here, I feel like if those guys had learned the Kaio-Ken, and here's the thing, maybe they didn't, just never even talked about it, because there is a possibility they did, but you would think that Toriyama would have had them all use it.
Yes. I mean, I'll get into it in a second. I do think that the main reason why they don't use the Kaio-Ken, or the reason why Goku got it and no one else did, similar to the Spirit Bomb, is basically because Toriyama wanted Goku to have a signature move no one else used, kind of like the Kamehameha, until, of course, Gohan comes around. Yes. Right. And, like, obviously Yamcha knows the Kamehameha, but he never used it after Dragon Ball. He used nothing because he always died. But
and Tenshin Han knows it too. Little known fact: Tenshin Han knows the Kamehameha.
He used it first against Master Roshi in the first tournament that he was involved in. But I think that in the case of Piccolo, they handed to use it, because Piccolo, unlike Goku, unlike all the others, has regeneration. So even if the Kaio-Ken destroys his body, he'll regenerate.
That's a good
so
point.
He would be the perfect candidate. Like, his body should be able to take it far better than anyone else's. And the thing is, Piccolo is already stronger than Frieza by the time the Android 19 and 20 show up. So if he used Kaio-Ken, he would have been able to wreck the androids. Like, times 10, he'd annihilate them.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's just really hard to figure out, because like if they had the Kaio-Ken at this point, even the humans would be more important at that stage.
Krillin would be able to do it, and
imagine Krillin with a Kaio-Ken times 20 using the Kienzan. He'd freaking slice 18 in half. I mean, he does that on a daily basis.
And then he'd take the lower half. Right. You took my joke.
Yes.
Or I took your joke, whatever. No, yeah. No, it never made sense to me. But I mean, okay, so to wrap it up then, do they know the Kaio-Ken, yes or no, in your opinion?
In my opinion, if they knew the Kaio-Ken, they'd have made a much bigger impact in the story than they did. So I'm going to have to say no, they don't.
The more we do these videos, the more we expose this show. Kind of hurts me. I love this show, but it bothers me, bro. They should have learned it. So what the hell did they learn when they were up there?
Well, I'll say something real quick about Piccolo. A lot of people don't realize this, but Piccolo didn't even train with King Kai that long. He was there maybe 6 days, 7 days, because when Piccolo and the other Z fighters get to King Kai's planet, it's when Goku is on his trip to Namek.
Which took about 6 days, yeah.
Yes, I think it took maybe 10 days or something. But the point is that Piccolo was revived the same day that Goku got to Namek, maybe the next day. So he was only there 6 or 7 days. So it makes sense that Piccolo didn't learn it that long, even though, they passed the test so much faster because they were way stronger than Goku was when he originally got there. But in the case of Tien and the others, I don't see I don't see why they don't know it, especially because I think Tien was there a lot longer than Goku was.
Well, yeah.
Goku.
How long was Goku there? Was it 1 month? No, it was like what? It was like, okay, he got there.
I think it was 6 months.
It was, yeah, something like that. I think it might have actually been like 4 months. But regardless, Tenshin Han and Chaozu were the last ones that were wished back to life. So,
although that also plays into a kind of maybe plot hole. Although I think it only counts when it comes to, because obviously Frieza has been resurrected, but I think it only comes to groups. But I think Tenshin Han was on King Kai's planet longer than a year.
Wait, how do you figure?
Because I think when he was brought back was over a year after he died, like originally against the Saiyans. Because if you remember, they wait at least 2 cycles of the Namekian cycle on top of
the time. 130 days, right?
Yeah,
so
but that would be over 260 days plus the time after he died that took for them to originally get to Namek.
Well, that was only like 2 weeks, right? Wasn't it?
No, it was
a month.
I think it was a month, and then it was the time that they were on Namek, and then I think
they're cutting it close.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, I see what you're saying. Well, the 1 year thing, that's a big misconception also. A A lot of fans have talked about that, being a plot hole. It really isn't a plot hole, and I'll tell you why. Even though I can see why they would think that. What is said in the manga Japanese version, what Kami says is that he never says you cannot bring somebody back to life after a year. That's actually, he never says that. What he says is, if you're going to bring a large group back to life, that's the misconception. So,
and it uses 2 wishes, right? Because when it comes to Dende during the, he says, when originally Piccolo asked Dende if the wishes will be weaker, and he asks essentially, what if you want to bring back a massive group? Can the dragon do that? And he says yes, and then it'll drop it down to 2. But if you remember when the dragon is originally summoned during the Buu saga, he says, I may grant 3 of your wishes.
Yeah, he upgraded the dragon, right?
Well, I think basically what happens is, well, yes, originally Dende did that, but I think essentially what happens is that when you wish back a group of people, it counts as 2 wishes instead of 1.
I had never thought of it that way. I had always just thought that. I mean, that makes sense. Don't get me wrong. I just had never thought that it would take up more than 1 wish. I had always thought that. I mean, honestly, I thought that Toriyama forgot that he upgraded the dragon, that he remembered, that he forgot that he remembered for the convenience of the story.
Yes. At the same time, when they used the Dragon Balls again, if I remember, when they used the Earth Dragon Balls again later, there's only 1 wish left. So I think it would make sense that it takes 2.
And they used one. They used 1 in the middle of the Buu saga, right?
Yes.
In the after the tournament, but before like Gotenks and all that. And then they brought the dragon. No, I don't remember.
It wished away Buu's memory.
That was the last wish. Yeah, that's right. That was, and then the Namek balls they actually used like 6 wishes when you kind of put them all together.
Yeah.
Right, it's quite a bit. All right, well, leave a comment below, folks. Can the Z Fighters do the Kaio-Ken? Yes or no? I just want to know what you think. And, of course, check out LaughingStockMedia.
Yes, thank you for having me on. I've really appreciated coming on. And if anyone is interested in checking out my channel, it's www.youtube.com/LaughingStockMedia1, the number, not the name.
That's right, the number, not ONE. So, and I'd love to have you back, and we'll talk more about this awesome show that makes no sense.
Yes, definitely.
Hey, you know what? Most shows don't make any sense, but I love this one. So,
it's pretty great.